Hi and welcome to A Life in Chapters. This is episode 1, The Moment Everything Changed. So this isn't a fancy podcast, no intro music, no editing, just me speaking directly into my mic from wherever I happen to be, sharing thoughts and stories about books, journaling, creative work, and the slower rhythms of a meaningful life. Now, if that sounds like your kind of space, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. So I wanted to begin this first episode by sharing something personal, the reason I started A Life in Chapters. Now, this isn't the polished version, it's not the carefully packaged story I might have told in a workshop or on a sales page. It's just the truth, because I didn't set out to start a new brand or reimagine my online business. I set out to find a space where I could breathe again. A space that kind of just felt like home, where I could speak honestly, write softly, create slowly, and trust that that would be enough. So I've been working online since 2009, and that feels like a lifetime ago now, and yet at the same time, not that long at all. I've been supporting clients, I've been building websites, teaching blogging, creating digital products, mentoring creatives, and I'm still doing that work today, and I'm genuinely proud of it. I've worked with amazing people, and I've created tools like my 6-figure planners that help others grow sustainable income online. But over time, I started to feel a quiet shift in myself, not in the value of the work, not in my love for the people I support, but in how I wanted to show up. I found myself craving a slower, more grounded energy, one that didn't rely on kind of constant momentum or polished messaging, but allowed space for softness, for uncertainty, for depth. I began noticing how much of my online life had been shaped around being useful, in inverted commas, offering strategies, solutions, answers, being the one with the tech tip or the practical next step. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's valuable work. But somewhere along the way, I realized I was missing something, the part of me that didn't want to explain or teach or optimize, the part of me that just wanted to reflect, to tell stories, to ask questions, to say things out loud, not to persuade or convert, but to connect. And that's when A Life in Chapters began to form in my mind. First as a very vague idea, then a scribble in a notebook, and eventually something I couldn't stop thinking about. And it really has evolved over time. I didn't go straight from A to B. I went A to up here, down there, thinking about it everywhere. I really didn't know what it would become. I just knew it had to exist, because for years I'd been dividing myself into categories. There was the client facing me, efficient, organized, showing up with answers. There was the content creator, planning posts, filming videos, writing blogs. And then there was the quiet me, probably the most real of all of those me's, journaling through doubt, reading late into the night, whispering dreams, plans, everything that I wasn't sure I had the energy to follow. And I was kind of tired of switching hats. I mean, we all have to switch hats to a certain extent, but I felt that the life I was living was kind of outside of me, and I wanted more of the real me, that one that's reading late into the night, to become part of what I was doing. I wanted to create a space where those parts didn't have to live separately, where I didn't have to niche down or pick one identity, where I could just be a person, a real one, creative, complicated, reflective, still figuring it out. And A Life in Chapters has become that space. Not a personal brand, more like a personal practice, a commitment to show up as I am, not the version I think people want. And that's frightening in a way, it's confronting. And that's why this podcast isn't polished. There's no fancy intro, no layered production, just me and a mic and a willingness to speak from the heart. Now, maybe that will change over time. Maybe I'll get better at this. Maybe I'll want to add those extras in, and there's nothing at all wrong with those extras. I love listening to podcasts like that. But I knew that if I started out like that, I wouldn't take the first step, because I don't want it to become, or I don't want it to be right now, something that I have to perform. I just want to connect. And I think a lot of us feel like that, especially if you've spent years online, building, trying, adjusting, kind of hoping to land in a place that feels like you, but never quite getting there. And that's how it felt for me. Like I was close, but not quite home. And that gap between what I was creating and what I was craving was starting to wear me down. I wanted a space that honoured the slower, richer rhythms of life. A space for people who love books and ideas and inner work. People who want to grow something real, but not at the cost of their peace. People who've tried the high-speed hustle and quietly walked away from it. If that's you, I want you to know you are so not alone, and you're not behind, which is another big fear of mine. And you're not doing it wrong because your pace is different. What you're building, what we're building, might not be flashy, but it's deep and true and sustainable. That's what I care about now. Not explosive launches, but quiet traction. Not viral posts, but meaningful ones. Not being seen by everyone, not being everywhere, but being seen by someone, properly, fully. And that's what I hope this podcast becomes, a place where you feel seen. So each week I'll share what's on my mind. Sometimes it'll be a journaling prompt or a reflection. Other times it might be a book I can't stop thinking about, or something I've learned while navigating business, but in a softer way. It'll be messy in places, personal, sometimes practical, often emotional, but always real. This is a podcast for the in-betweeners, for the ones still figuring it out. Like me, for the ones who want to keep going, even if the path doesn't look like anyone else's. And I want you to know this isn't me stepping away from what I've always done. It's me reintegrating it, creating space for all the pieces to coexist. I still work with clients. I still support others in building their income. I still love helping people launch their ideas. But now I also have this, a corner of the internet that feels like mine, a quiet, creative, reflective space where the pressure drops and the honesty rises. And maybe you need a space like that too. So thank you for being here, especially for this first episode. It might be a small beginning, but to me, it kind of feels like a homecoming, and I hope in some small way it can feel like one for you too. Now, if you'd like to go deeper with the ideas from today, whether that's through journaling, book recommendations, or creative business tools, you'll find the show notes and extras at alifeinchapters.com. And if you'd like to support this podcast and be part of a cozy corner of the internet, come and join my Patreon. There are monthly journal prompts, a book club, creative business Q&As, and more. Just head to patreon.com/alifeinchapters or just click the link in the notes. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.